On June 17th of this year, myself and Andy were fired by Linus Tech Tips, a channel that we had worked for 8 and 6 years respectively, and honestly, it was awesome. Getting fired was the absolute best thing that could have happened to us. We got severance, access to social benefits if we need it, and also we get to make this channel full time. And as of today, a second channel, so subscribe down below. But how did we end up in a situation where we're absolutely stoked to get fired from our dream jobs? Well, before we get into that, I need to acknowledge that working at Linus Tech Tips was possibly the best thing that has ever happened to me. Without the incredible amount of knowledge, skills, and friends that I made while I was there, this channel would absolutely not be possible. And I am forever indebted to Linus and the amount that he taught me about video writing, hosting, and generally how to survive on YouTube. I got the job in a pretty normal way. I followed LTT for a while on YouTube, they released a video asking for writers, and they called out my exact skill set of engineering, mechanical design, and ability to write funny videos. So I dropped out of university and moved across the continent to become a YouTuber. At that point, I'd completed 4 out of 5 years of mechanical engineering and had realized it was not for me. I absolutely loved mechanical design, but it turns out designing a part is like a week of super fun testing and designing, and then 2 months of arguing with supplier about why they need to remake a $20,000 part for free because they didn't read your damn drawings. I was also watching loads of science and tech YouTube like Veritasium, Smarter Every Day, Vsauce, and of course LTT, thinking making those videos seemed like way more fun than what I was doing previously, which was doing a work term, conducting a feasibility study, and then finding out that it wasn't feasible, and then just kind of sitting around for the second half of it. But man, working at LTT in the early days was sick. I was reviewing gaming laptops at their absolute peak before Nvidia put power limits on mobile GPUs. I got to play with both the best and the worst computer hardware known to man, and of course, made some incredibly sketchy heat sinks. Looking back at it is pretty wild. Like, the channel only had around 3 million subscribers, the move to the office had just happened, and it really had the vibes of a startup. I was the 15th person there, and although my position officially was as a writer, I was doing different things every single day. One week I'd be reviewing a laptop, the next week absolutely failing to build a heatsink from scratch, and after that doing research on how to buy new tools and expand our capabilities. I was learning new things every day across tech, hosting, and engineering, and I was very happy about it. During those times, I also started hosting videos, something that did not come naturally to me still today. But I persevered for a variety of reasons. If I was doing a build that would take a week or two, it was impractical to have Linus there hosting the whole thing, so me hosting allowed me to take on much bigger projects. Also, Linus's time has always been a bottleneck, so the company of course wanted more people to be good on camera, and personally, I wanted to be better at hosting for job security reasons. All I could do was write videos. Those videos could only ever be as good as the person that hosted them, and if that person got hit by a bus, or much more likely accidentally said something very problematic on WAN show.
N-word hard R?
What? No.
Being able to host meant I would be able to continue doing the things that I love. At this time, the company was super good at supporting the passions of employees that weren't necessarily in the standard LTT niche, like my passion for cars. And while I was there, I made over 50 car videos. Before we get into that though, a little backstory on Andy.
Hi.
Before moving to Canada, he was cutting his teeth working for iPhone.com, specifically the car review department of them in China, but realized that a lot of car brands would publish everything in English, so he wanted to get better at that. He came to Canada to continue to learn videography and of course some English, and then just kind of never left. Eventually he ended up at LTT, first as a grip, then a camera op, and then a production supervisor. Back to our car videos though, at LTT they started as insane Top Gear style affairs, spearheaded by myself, Brandon Lee, and John O'Tan. Brandon got to flex his camera skills, where we hired an actual commercial director, a camera car and crew, and even a stunt driver to create some of what I think are the best produced videos ever to drop on the channel. The huge drift in the Taycan remains, in my opinion, the coolest thing that LTT has ever captured on a camera sensor. But these were obscenely expensive videos. Like, The camera car alone was $8,000 a day, not to mention a freaking horse. This is around when Andy joined the team, and he was there for all of those car videos, even taking his Odyssey out for a bit of a joyride around the track during some of the downtime, and always encouraging us to get up close and personal with the camera in the cars. This style of videos were fine for the first couple because DJI basically wrote us a blank check to film the coolest stuff that we could, but then they became a bit more preoccupied with other things, and our third Top Gear style review of the Taycan lost LTT a whack load of money without a sponsor attached. Now I know some of you think that Linus Media Group has gobs of cash and should have just let us continue making these kind of videos, money be damned, but there are two things that I absolutely hate. The first is when I work on a video that I think is absolutely amazing, but it doesn't get good views. The YouTube algorithm is a fickle thing, so sometimes if you try something different, it doesn't always find the audience it deserves. The second and even worse one though, is when a video I make does not make money. Making cool videos is a privilege, and a privilege that I do not take for granted. And no matter how cool the video is, if it doesn't make money, at some point you're gonna have to stop making them. Bit of a tangent here, but I have seen so many comments over the years asking me how the heck I convinced Linus to spend so much money on the builds I make and the equipment needed to make those builds happen. Ensuring those projects make money is how I made it happen. Almost every balls to the wall build, whether that meant flying in Nerdforge from Norway on Sonic's dime, getting D-Brand to pay for the Pyramid PC, a gaming camper van, turbocharging a laptop, a desk made of radiators, or freaking Dolby Atmos in a fire truck, a sponsor had to pay for that. These are all videos where we come up with the idea in a writers meeting, and then myself and the business team would work tirelessly to sell the concept to a sponsor to make sure that we could make it all happen again. Knowing we needed to figure out how to make car videos without breaking the bank, myself and Andy changed up how our car videos were shot, with the first of this style being the Volvo XC40 review. For the vast majority of LTT videos, the production pipeline was something like this. We'd get in the product, I'd do all of the testing, write a script, Linus would host the video, and then I would write a list of all of the B-roll needed, and the shooters would take it from there. This works great for something like a laptop, but due to the size of cars and the fact that manufacturers normally only let us have them for a week at a time, shooting all of the A-roll and B-roll separately added way too much production time. To change it up, we shot the Volvo video by first shooting the A-roll, then immediately shooting all of the B-roll close-ups right after to make sure that we had every single shot that we needed and we got them all quickly. By doing this, we were able to get pretty darn close to the quality of those previous videos, but at like 10% of the cost. And also, Jake got to do some donuts in his M5. That was sick. I do need to shout out Jonathan Horst here of MAC Address. He is the one that originally taught Andy how to shoot videos in this way, and this is how we still shoot videos on this channel to today. Press F in chat for MAC Address.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Horst. From here, we continued to shoot a whole bunch of electric car reviews on Short Circuit, and it was awesome. Electric cars were the hot thing at the time, and it seemed like they'd be in almost everyone's garage in a couple of years, and we got to look at them first. The carrot of a car channel was ever present, and it seemed like any day now we would be able to make one. So why didn't that happen? Gamers Nexus is what happened. The amount of damage his videos did to the channel cannot be overstated. With lost sponsors, terrible community sentiment, and some really good talent leaving the company because they did not sign up for death threats. I don't want to get into it too much, but I find it genuinely impressive how for a company with such an incredible number of issues like Linus Media Group, Steve didn't seem to hit on any of the real problems, and instead assumed the problems were Linus's greed, non-existent conflicts of interest, and us wanting to screw over our viewers for some reason? That would make us more money? No. I can tell you for certain, none of the problems Steve talked about were because of greed or malice. Everyone that works there is just a nerd that wants to make the best video they can. There were plenty of problems with the company, and Linus will be the first one to tell you that the company did grow too fast, and there are plenty of issues because of that. But from where I was sitting, it seemed like many of those problems were already identified and probably would have just been solved in the coming months. Instead, those problems were solved publicly in a week, for better or for worse. And some of the changes were great, like the ECC squad didn't just fact check the videos, but have become an invaluable resource, aiding me greatly with videos like the nonlinear junction detector and Russell Brand's stupid Wi-Fi amulet. But this also created a cycle where every single time there was a problem in a video, there'd be a bunch of post-mortem meetings, then there'd be a brand new process that would be created to prevent that problem from happening in the future, even though we hadn't gotten used to the old process yet, and the new process caused a bunch of different unknown problems and no one ever knew what was going on, and the Gamers Nexus debacle completely killed discussions about a car channel. With views and revenue down, it didn't seem like a good time to expand into a new vertical, and the talks never seriously resumed. Car channel aside, as the company grew, my responsibilities shrank. Like, I spent a bunch of time designing a handle for the screwdriver, and when it became clear that I just didn't have enough time to both work on the screwdriver and make videos, I helped them hire a real engineer to take over the project, and then I never worked on engineering stuff again. Originally did a bunch of procurement and planning for the workshop and learned a whole bunch about machining and how to do that, and eventually that was all taken over by others so I could focus on writing more videos. The huge projects I was working on slowly moved from me doing the entire thing start to finish to me delegating the whole thing start to finish, taking on more of a project management role. Laptop and tech testing I had previously done myself, and that was now handled by labs. When there's only 15 people at the company, it felt like my role was writer, engineer, fabricator, test technician, and product designer. And when the company was at over 100, my title finally reflected my role, just a writer. I was also generally struggling to come up with new ideas for crazy projects. The first time we strapped a massive fan to a computer is exhilarating, and 8 years later, I could write the conclusion of the video before it even started. The thing I value most is constantly learning new things, and for my last 2 years at Linus Tech Tips, I felt like I was just rehashing old ideas for a new sponsor. Andy was having a similar experience. What he loves doing is making awesome videos, filming cars, and telling me to redo a take because the focus wasn't right. And I have to, that stupid bolt I just took 5 minutes out.
Can't redo that, please?
Instead, he was just managing schedules and coordinating shoots instead of actually being in the action. There were two things that kept me going my last year there: a collab with Mighty Car Mods and a collab with Doug DeMiro. And man, that collab with Mighty Car Mods was sick. During that week, I had energy like I hadn't had in months, worked incredibly hard. Like, me and Brian left at 5 in the morning to pick up an engine in Washington after working late the night before. And of course, Andy filmed the entire thing. After those collabs were done, I felt more lost than ever, knowing just how motivated I could be and not being able to continue researching shitbox mods on the company dime. At this point, me and Andy started meeting after work, running the numbers on how many views we'd need to get to pay rent, figuring out production timelines and how many videos the two of us realistically could produce in a month. In January of this year, I met with management at Linus Media Group and told them I was making a car channel this summer. If they wanted in, now was the time to act, or I would just do it myself. They waffled a bit, said they wanted to see some more videos and see if there was demand for the content, and it became pretty clear to me that it just wasn't going to happen anytime soon. There was a big problem though, the non-compete. At the time, the employee handbook said personal projects should not be competitive with LMG or its affiliated company's business, wording that I thought was way too broad, but they insisted that me starting a car channel would be competitive with their business, even though they wouldn't actually let me start one there. There were many other problems with starting a car channel there too. Internal jealousy of who's getting free car parts, how does insurance work, what happens when I put too much boost in my Golf and the engine explodes. On top of this, 3 channels had just been put on hiatus, and everyone that worked for those channels was laid off, which didn't exactly give me a whole lot of confidence to start a new channel there. Over the next couple of months, myself and Andy had a bunch of meetings with management about the non-compete clause. I got an employment lawyer. Things were pretty tense. They told us a potential solution was that we could launch the channel, but only if we didn't monetize it, had no sponsors, and didn't get any free car parts, which I thought was very silly, but we agreed to it. I wanted to stay on as a writer for LTT, not just for job security reasons, but I still genuinely enjoyed making the tech videos. I wasn't just faking that I love laptops. Working on those videos was a blast. And again, the people there are some of the best in the world, and it was still super fun making videos with Linus. My last couple of projects included cooling a computer with a fire truck and then installing a sound system in said fire truck. That is sick! We kept our word though, and on June 1st of this year, we launched zip tie tuning. And at first, it performed pretty close to our expectations, getting about 30,000 views in the first 2 days, and then boom! She went to the moon. We were super stoked. The comments were super stoked, and everyone loved it except LMG management. Shortly after we launched the channel, I was pulled into a meeting with management and HR where they told me I had violated the non-compete and had 3 options. Number 1, take zip tie tuning down. Number 2, hand the channel over to Linus Media Group and become the channel manager. Or number 3, get fired, get a generous severance package, own my own company, and do whatever I want to do with Andy.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was not a hard decision. And man, I am so glad me and Andy decided to just go on our own and make this channel because it has been amazing. Previously, I would be fighting to just get 3 to 4 hours to shoot an entire car review. Now we can do whatever we want, be that going to the top of a mountain, a beautiful lake, or a Bass Pro Shop. I am finally able to make the videos that I want to about cars, like teaching a science lesson about coilovers or discovering that my Z3 is terrible. On track and also just in general. I also cannot overstate how incredible it is to own the content I create now and being able to just make videos about what we want to make instead of crapping out another Apple announcement video. Now, since we're both out of a job, I do need to mention that car videos are very expensive to make, and please go to the description down below and subscribe to our Patreon because we still have not gotten $1 of that sweet YouTube money because of US tax crap. And yeah, the Patreon page has been the #1 way for us to get tools and car parts that we need, and it has been incredible so far. Also, please don't go to Linus Tech Tips and complain about us getting fired. From what I've heard, they've already changed the non-compete to something that is much more reasonable, and we consider getting fired a gift, because otherwise we would have had to quit and not got any money. No, it was like, thank you so much, Linus. For those of you that are wondering, myself and Andy are a pure 50-50 split on this. I grew up watching Top Gear, and such a huge part of that show wasn't just the excellent presenters, but also the amazing cinematography that brought those cars to life, and there is no way in hell that I could do that on my own.
You tried.
Andy is the kind of guy that makes sure that every single shot in a video is well composed, in focus, and color graded just right. And looking at the comments, you guys love the production value he brings to the table. Could I have potentially tried to take more than half of the company? Like, sure, but I don't want to make a value judgment on someone's time when I know that Andy is in 100% just like me. But there is one big problem. I still love tech, and it isn't like I can just go and get in a whole bunch of laptops and different tech in and start making tech reviews as well, right? Wrong, because that's right, today we are starting Zip Tie Tech, and the first video is live now looking at the Asus TUF A14, what I think is the absolute best gaming laptop on the market in 2025. Now, I'm not totally sure how often we'll be posting there. The focus is still on this car channel, but I'm sure when it starts snowing outside in the winter, we will be getting a lot more tech in. And when anything interesting drops that we would like to cover, well, we'll be covering it. And as a bonus, hopefully we'll still get to go to tech trade shows because I have made way too many friends in the industry to pass up getting to hang out with them again. And of course, everyone from LTT. Before we wrap up, I just want to shout out all of the companies that have supported us straight from the get-go. Deity Microphones hooked us up after we lost a whole bunch of audio on our first video using some consumer grade mics. Prusa for sending over a printer that has been used non-stop to kit out Andy's garage, so you all have back there. there, Wisdom Tools, Toyota, Ford, Vessi, and of course, everyone that has sent over free car parts. By the way, Linus, if you're watching this, hit me up on Steam. Let's play some tape to tape. That was a good time. So everyone else, go down below, subscribe to Zip Tie Tech, tell your nan to subscribe to both channels, check out our Patreon if you want to support the channel, and of course, have a great old day.
Grandma, stop cooking! Go subscribe!